Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün New York'un en prestijli üniversitelerinden Clarkson University'de master eğitimi ve başvuru şartlarını Colleen'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Colleen, the stage is yours now.
Great. Well, my impulse is to say good morning because, of course, it's morning here in the East Coast of the United States, but I understand it's evening where all of you are. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can all see my presentation, and just give me a moment for that. And we should. There we go. So I would like to present to you today about Clarkson University, which is in New York State. And I'll be telling you about both the undergraduate programs that are available and the application process for those, as well as the postgraduate programs and the application process for those. So I welcome your questions, and I will address them all at the end. That way, just go ahead and put them there now, and don't worry, I will answer all of the questions as best I can. A bit about me. My name is Colleen Flynn-Tapalia, and I'm the Senior Director of Graduate Recruitment and Enrollment Marketing at Clarkson. I also help with the undergraduate recruitment of international students. Clarkson University is located in New York State, as I said, and we have several locations. The main campus is where the gold star is on the map. The green part of the map is New York State. And you may be surprised to know that New York State is quite a vast, large state. We're best known, of course, for New York City, but it is a large state with mountains, rural areas, other cities. And Potsdam, New York, is the main campus of Clarkson University. It's actually much closer to the capital of Canada, which is Ottawa, than it is to New York City. But you have all the advantages of living in New York State when you study at Clarkson. I personally work at the Capital Region campus, which is named for the capital city of Albany, New York, which you can see also there on the map. And we have several graduate level professional programs that are offered here at the Capital Region campus. You might wonder, I don't know that much about Clarkson, why would I want to study there? And so I've provided this slide, which has a summary. There are many more accolades than these, but this is a sampling of the many recognitions that Clarkson has. It is considered a top-tier national university by U.S. News and World Report, and within the United States, the U.S. News ranking is of high importance, and many people, look at that. Maybe more from a student point of view, Clarkson is one of the top 3 universities, or in the top 3% of universities for salary potential. Our students do very well economically once they have graduated from one of our bachelor's, master's, or PhD programs. In fact, the average starting salary for someone who is just now completing the bachelor's degree would be about $64,000 US per year. And for the postgraduate students at the master's and PhD levels, that average starting salary is over $70,000 per year. And those within the United States would be considered very high salaries for people just starting out after completing a degree. We have great career services, and we're also best known as a STEM university, meaning science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We offer other types of programs as well, but those are the ones that perhaps we're the best known for. Let me start first with an overview of the undergraduate situation at Clarkson. I'll look at the degrees, the requirements, deadlines, the cost, the scholarships, and a little bit about the student experience. This is a beautiful picture of our campus in the fall, when all of the leaves turn the beautiful colors. And you can see that our campus is in a sort of park-like or forest setting. This is the first of 2 slides that I have with the undergraduate majors listed. This is the School of Arts and Sciences, which is quite robust at the undergraduate level. You can see a lot of science, like biology, chemistry, computer science, physics, that kind of thing. But also there's more social science on the undergraduate side than you will see later at the postgraduate side. So things like communication, digital arts and sciences, political science, psychology are also available at the undergraduate level. Pardon me, I would like to invite you to use the chat box to tell me which of these majors or the ones on the next page might be of interest to you, and we'll note that down so that when I communicate with you all later by email, I'll have a better sense of where you are in terms of your interests. So now to the second page of majors. Undergraduate majors in the Institute for Sustainable Environment include one that's more policy-oriented and one that's more health-oriented. Our School of Business is accredited by AACSB, which is considered the highest type of accreditation in the US for business. And you can see a wide range of majors available there. One of the things we're best known for is global supply chain management, and we're always listed as a top program in that. Another interesting undergraduate major in the School of Business is a joint major with our School of Engineering called Engineering and Management, which combines elements of engineering with the business side. And then finally, the Coulter School of Engineering has a wide range of engineering majors as well. They're all listed alphabetically there, so I hope if you're interested in engineering that you see the major that is of highest interest to you. And as I said, use the chat box to indicate your preferred major so that we can give you the best follow-up information possible. And I think I hear a lot of things coming in the chat box, which I can't see from my current viewpoint, and that's exciting to me, so thank you for that. Next, I'll talk about the admission requirements for Clarkson. We accept the Common App, which many of you will be familiar with if you're undergraduate applicants. We also have our own Clarkson application, so if for some reason you're not able to use the Common App, there are 2 options. For undergraduate admission, we need your secondary school transcript or high school transcript, whatever you call it. And I don't know if you do national exams. For many students in, pardon me, countries like India and Nigeria, there are national exams that students would need to send us. We need 2 letters of recommendation, one from your school counselor and one from a teacher. I'm happy to say that the SAT and ACT exam scores are optional for Clarkson. You do not need to provide them. If you have them and you think they reflect well on you as an applicant, I would say please go ahead and send them, but they're not essential in order for your application to be read. In terms of English proficiency exams, we accept 4 different options, and you can send any one of those that you prefer, and those are the minimum admission scores needed. Those are required scores, I'm sorry. So we need a TOEFL of at least 80, IELTS of 6.5, PTE of 56, or the Duolingo exam, which is the newest one and is available online. We prefer a score of 115 or higher, but we can go as low as 105, but no lower than that. If you haven't prepared to take an exam by signing up and getting an exam date, the Duolingo is a great option for you because you can take it online as long as you meet all of the requirements and have a good, stable internet connection. And frankly, the cost is a little lower than some of the other options. So there you go for English testing. Concerning deadlines, our early decision deadline is December 1st for the following August, and our regular decision deadline is January 15th. At Clarkson, for international applicants, we will review files on a rolling basis until the class is full. That means that if you have an application ready to go right now today, you should go ahead and apply. But that if it would take you some time to pull the application together, you might want to think about applying for the spring term, which starts in January, or next fall's intake, which would start in August. And again, if you have questions about any of these things, please put them in the question box and we can address them all when I finish the presentation in just a bit. If you are in a high school that offers exams like the US style AP, the British style A-levels, the International Baccalaureate, there is a possibility that some of those exams could be accepted for credit toward your degree. And you would get advanced placement based on the scores that you send in. We can accept up to 30 credits of completed coursework through these exams that you might have taken in high school. The cost of attendance at Clarkson is perhaps a little scary when you see the numbers, but I will talk about scholarships in just a moment. The tuition for the upcoming academic year is just over $54,000, with room and board coming at about $16,000. That means that the cost of attendance per year is over $70,000. But as you can see on the scholarship screen, our scholarships can go up to $35,000 per year, or perhaps even a little more, depending on the quality of the application. There are some individual scholarships, and I've included the link there. If you email me or just search on our website, you'll quickly find the scholarships. Each fall semester, we do offer 10 full scholarships, and that's only the tuition, not the other costs. But it's a very competitive process, and that would mean you are applying for fall 2022 because the selections have already been made for fall 2021. We also offer 2 scholarships called You Are Welcome Here, and those offer a scholarship which is above our usual range, not quite as good as a full scholarship, but still a very generous scholarship, and it also is a competitive process. So there's an application to be completed as you do your application for admission. In terms of the student experience, I want to say that I included this picture of a snowmobile on purpose because Clarkson is in a part of the country where we have all 4 seasons, and that does include winter. So you'll have wonderful opportunities to enjoy the outdoor activities associated with all 4 seasons. And I don't want anyone to be surprised when it's time for the snow boots and the winter jacket. In terms of sports, Clarkson is in Division 3 of the NCAA for most sports and athletics. In hockey, however, we're in Division 1, which is the most competitive division, and our men's and women's ice hockey teams have both won national championships in recent years. We do not have music majors, but we have a lot of opportunities for clubs and groups for music and theater. We also have a lot of clubs that appeal to international students. I've mentioned a couple there, things like table tennis and cricket, or Premier League Watchers Club, which if I lived in Potsdam, I think I might join. And also living in New York's North Country offers a lot of opportunities to try out winter sports, as I said. Not just snowmobile, but skiing, both alpine and cross country, snowshoeing, lots of things like that. Clarkson is considered a residential campus, meaning that students are expected to live on campus for all 4 years of their undergraduate study. We offer living learning communities where you can live in a residence unit with people who have similar interests, things like outdoor enthusiasts, women in science and engineering, etc. The last one I mentioned in that paragraph, sustainability, is a big concern of our students. As you can imagine, in a science and engineering focused university, there's a great deal of concern about sustainability. So that is one of our living and learning communities as well. If you're worried about living on campus, I just wanted to point out that students can stay on campus during breaks when the US students are expected to go home. And if you're doing research or have a job on campus over the summer, you're eligible to stay on campus for the long summer break as well. So that's the end of my piece about undergraduate study. And now I'm going to transition to graduate programs. In the US, we call master's and PhD graduate programs. I do know that in most of the world, those are called postgraduate programs. So that's just a little linguistic difference between American and global English. Similar to my undergraduate presentation, I'm going to talk about the types of degrees, requirements, application process, funding, a bit about visas, which would apply to both undergraduate and postgraduate, and then give you a sense of the application timeline. So especially at the master's level, our degrees fall into 3 categories. One is research, where you're going to do a thesis and do original empirical research. The second is project, where you will do a capstone type project. It's not a research thesis, but a significant piece of academic writing in a professional context. And the third type of master's is coursework only, where you take all of the required credits and then do a comprehensive exam, and no large paper or project is required. Most of our master's programs offer 2, if not all 3 of these options. And this is the list of programs for our main campus in Potsdam. As I did with the undergraduate side, I would ask the people interested in postgraduate study to use the chat box to let us know which of these programs might be of interest to you so that we can follow up with the best possible information. And this list is purely alphabetical. I have not separated it by school. So you can see the science programs like bioscience and biotechnology mixed in with the engineering programs like mechanical engineering. We also have health science programs at the postgraduate level, like physical therapy, which most of the rest of the world calls physiotherapy. That results in a doctor of physical therapy. We have physician assistant and occupational therapy, which are both master's degrees. So there's a range there, but unlike the undergraduate side, we do not have a lot of those social science type degrees like psychology and political science. So I just want to point out that's a little bit of a difference between the postgraduate and undergraduate levels. On our Capital Region campus, which is the CRC, right? There are some programs that might be of interest to international students like all of you, but it's much less likely that international students are going to be on the Capital Region campus because we don't have quite the same experience as the main campus. We don't have separate offices for counseling and library and things like that. So most of the US students who study at the Capital Region campus come to campus after work, and the classes are in the evening. So if you're interested in one of these Capital Region campus programs, please let me know, and I'll be happy to help you with that. Okay, so now we're going to talk a bit about the application requirements. And I just want to say that many departments at Clarkson are waiving the GRE requirement for fall 2021. One that is not waiving is computer science. So I just want to point that out. Computer science and the environmental programs are still requiring the GRE for fall 2021 and spring 2022. But most of the rest of the departments have waived the requirement because of all the difficulties students have had with getting appointments and test dates confirmed during the pandemic. That means that all of the other credentials have even greater importance and greater weight for the faculty who are reading your application. So I'll go quickly through these requirements. The application form is online. You go to the page on our website that looks like the one in the image there. That's where you set up your account and you log in and can fill out the form and start entering your credentials. We require a statement of purpose, which is sometimes called an essay. You should talk about your personal, professional, and research goals, whichever of those are relevant for you. In the statement of purpose, it should be letting the faculty know why you chose Clarkson. What is the match between you and what we have to offer? What is the match between you and what you'll be doing after completing a degree at Clarkson? Focus less on your biographical story and more on what you're going to do in the future, a future-facing type approach. We require transcripts, and you can upload unofficial copies of your transcripts. We do not need hard copies of your transcripts at the application point. Later, if you're admitted and choose to enroll, then we will ask you for transcripts. Next, we require the resume or CV. You do not need to redo your European-style CV into a resume. We would take either one. But a resume or CV is a great place for you to provide information that doesn't really fit anywhere else on the application. So if you're a PhD applicant and you want the faculty to know that you have experience as a teacher or as a tutor, you should definitely put that on your resume. That might make you a more attractive candidate for a teaching assistantship later on down the line. We require 3 letters of recommendation for most programs, so I should take out the number 2. It's 3. And make sure these are professional and academic references. We don't need personal references. Try to get people who know you well and know your abilities well, and who are great cheerleaders for your success. And finally, test scores. We will require English proficiency test scores. Those are not being waived. And then the other test scores, depending on your program, right? GRE for many programs, GMAT mainly for the business programs. For the application process, I just wanted to summarize really quickly. Complete the application form and submit it. You don't need to wait for all of the documents to come in to submit the application. Upload all of the required documents, scanned copies of your transcripts, scanned copies of your test scores, your essay, your CV. I think that's everything. Follow up with your recommenders to make sure that they know that you've given their name and email address, and to make sure that they have received the invitation email from Clarkson to start the recommendation. Sometimes, I won't say it's, well, sometimes those emails end up in a spam or junk mail folder for your recommender. So it's good to follow up with them just to make sure they receive the email from Clarkson. Because if they don't, there are things we can do to try and make sure that happens. Finally, you submit the application, and then comes the most difficult part of the process. You have to wait for an answer from our faculty. The faculty committees review throughout the year, and they try to get the decisions out within 2 to 4 weeks after the submission of a complete application. So the patience that it takes to wait for an answer is very difficult, I think, for many of us. I know it is for me. Okay, so just to dig a little deeper on test scores, we have the same test score requirements for postgraduate as for undergraduate, which means TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, and Duolingo. For the GRE, if you have the scores or you're looking to take it and send them, we don't have a minimum GRE score, but the average scores for admitted applicants are 148 verbal and 159 quantitative. So you're going to want to try to get into that range to make your application as competitive as possible. And finally, if you're a business program applicant, the minimum score for scholarship consideration on the GMAT is 550. So that's, again, kind of a score to shoot for as you do your practice exams. Deadlines on the postgraduate side are different from the undergraduate. We have no formal deadlines. We admit students on a rolling basis, and we are still accepting applications for fall. But for maximum consideration, especially for those concerned about teaching or research assistantships, the earlier you apply in the cycle, the better. The dates there are just for some guidance as you do your planning. In terms of funding your studies at the postgraduate level, the most frequent question we get is how to get full funding. And I should say that most of the fully funded offers go to the PhD students. About 75% of our teaching and research assistants are PhD students, and 20 to 25% are master's students. The decision about who to offer the assistantship to is based on the match between the student's background and what the faculty need. If you are going to be in the chemical chemistry department and you've been a tutor or taught organic chemistry and there's a need for a teaching assistant, you're going to be a good candidate for that, right? But if your background is in organic and then they need someone for a more industrial or different type of chemistry, you might not be the best match. So make sure your resume or CV includes the details that will help the faculty determine if you are the best match and you are the best candidate. International students can also be considered for scholarships, and these range up to about a 30% reduction of the tuition. And you can also be considered for part-time assistantships. There is on-campus employment, but we do not offer that as part of financial aid, let's say. That's something you can look into once you reach campus. Education loans are another popular source of funding as well. Most students who are successful with educational loans obtain those in their own countries. We are also approved at Clarkson by some of the other loan providers, like there's one called M, the letter M, Power, and you can find us on their website as an approved university. But in summary, I'll say that at the master's level, scholarships are the most frequent type of assistance that we offer. In terms of visas and documentation, that's a question that I get a lot. It's important to note that our International Center manages the issuance of I-20s, the document you need in order to get a student visa. These are being issued by email at present. In the past, we had to mail out paper copies of everything, but now we can do this electronically. We only issue the I-20 once a student has been admitted and has made an enrollment deposit. And then the International Center works with students to obtain the correct documentation, which includes bank statements at that point. We don't need bank statements from postgraduate or undergraduate students until the offer of admission and the deposit. So you don't have to share all your personal information until that time. Many consulates are starting to reopen, so you will have your I-20 and be able to appear for the visa interview if the closest US consulate to you is open and offering student visa interviews. And that concludes my formal presentation, and I'll be happy now to answer the questions that you have. I see many people did tell me in the chat box what they're interested in. So we'll go through that and try to match it up with the registration list and make sure that we send you the best information for the program that you're interested in. I'm going to look in the question box now and see if I can't find, see if I can't answer everything that you wanted to know about. So someone asked about living expenses around the campus. Because Clarkson is located in more of a rural area, the cost of living is much lower there. I know that when people hear New York City, they get very anxious about the cost of living, but I think the cost of living is something like 60% lower in Potsdam than it is in New York City. So you really don't have to worry that much. In terms of rent, that would only be relevant for the postgraduate students. Undergraduate students will be living on campus in almost every case. But for the students who are going to live off campus, I would say one of the most important things will be to reach out to current students. We have an ambassador program at Clarkson. If you go to our website, you'll see a pop-up box with it's a little card there where you can send a question to a current student, or you can go to the Graduate Student Association page on our website and try to reach out to someone there to either find a roommate or get a sense of where to look for a place to live. Is the diploma international? Yes, all of our credentials are recognized internationally because we're fully accredited, pardon me, by the Middle States Commission, which is one of the regional accrediting bodies in the United States. Many of our programs also have a specialized accreditation, like the engineering has got one called ABET. I mentioned the business has AACSB. The health science programs have specialized accreditation. the teaching degrees all have specialized accreditation as well. So you're covered both by the institutional accreditation and then the discipline-specific one. Does the school have a dormitory? Yes, for undergraduate students, we have residential options. I think there are some residential options for the master's students as well, and we can get you more information about that. Do we have to have the GMAT for business programs? So for the business programs, if you have, I think, 5 years of work experience, you can have a waiver of that requirement of the GMAT. I'm going back to the top because a new question just came in. There are no full scholarship options at the master's degree level, unless you're offered a fully funded teaching or research assistantship. Okay, so I'm sorry, these are a little disjointed. I'm doing them in the order they came in. So maybe I should start from the bottom. Which undergraduate programs are the most advantageous for international students? So currently, international student visas are considered non-resident visas, non-immigrant visas, I'm sorry. So we really can't advise you about how to stay in the United States if you're coming on a student visa. But I will say that the most advantageous programs for international students are the ones that are designated as STEM, S-T-E-M, because you can stay and work after graduation for up to 3 years. So that gives you the best possible chance to do a change of status to an immigrant status visa rather than the non-immigrant student visa. 3.2 GPA is enough to get into Clarkson. I'm sorry, I don't want to try to pronounce your names and get them all wrong, but 3.2 GPA is fine, but it would need to be surrounded by strong credentials otherwise, good letters of recommendation, a resume with some idea of experience or research. It needs to be a well-rounded application, and hopefully with that 3.2 or 3.0 GPA, you don't have classes that you had to repeat, right? We're looking for evidence of quality, so make sure that all of your choices about your application have to do with showing the quality of your academic preparation and your professional experience. Can we get part-time work permit while studying? International students can work on campus if they're able to find a position. After a certain time, like 2 full-time semesters, students can get off-campus internships, or they can take a semester and do what's called a co-op and work full-time in a business or government office. Those would be paid opportunities, and the student visa does allow for students to do co-ops. Clarkson is not considered an Ivy League university. There are only, I believe, 8 Ivy League universities, but Clarkson is considered a top-tier university, especially in the areas of STEM. Education will be on campus for the new academic year. That's an excellent question, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't say it during the formal presentation, but yes, we are expecting a full face-to-face semester starting in the fall. I have had questions from other students about whether COVID vaccination will be required, and I know there are discussions on campus about whether it will be required or just recommended. But if you're not able to get a vaccine in your own country, you would be able to get vaccinated here. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Is there any flexibility about application deadlines? So, Faiza, I'm not sure if you're talking about undergraduate or postgraduate. Definitely on the postgraduate side, specifically master's degrees, we are rolling right along with admission. For undergraduate, you would have to apply like right away in order for there to be enough time to try and get in for fall 2021. How much is the annual fee for Masters of Electrical Engineering? Electrical Engineering is about $1,500 a credit times 30 credits. So that's about $45,000, and it would be spread out over about 3 semesters. So I hope that helps with understanding the fees for that. can I apply to the medical department as soon as I finish high school? No. This is a big, important process, Melissa. We do not have the system where you can apply for medicine straight from high school. In the United States, you have to do a bachelor's degree before you can go to medical school. So if you want to become a doctor and you're currently in high school, sadly, I have to recommend that you look for programs that are based more on the European model, where you do straight from high school. Are there scholarship opportunities at Clarkson? So again, I don't know whether this is an undergraduate or postgraduate, but I will say that at both levels, all admitted students are considered for scholarship, and we offer as competitive and as generous a scholarship as we can to each applicant. We talked about the GMAT, and okay, let me answer this newer question. What are the full scholarship opportunities for a master's degree? And I think I already answered that, and sadly, unless you're offered an assistantship, there is no full scholarship possible at the master's degree level. In most programs, the scholarship will be up to 30% discounted off the tuition. In some programs, they might go a little higher, like in the residential MBA, the campus-based MBA, or the data science. We have a program in data science, which is a STEM degree, meaning you can stay and work for 3 years after graduation. So applied data science, depending on the student's profile, can sometimes go a little higher than 30% scholarship. Wow, I think I powered through all of the questions, so I certainly invite you to ask me any other questions. I'm going to jump over to the chat just to see if I can. Oh, there are lots of people saying hello, which is lovely. Thank you for all those hellos. And I see a lot of people interested in exactly the types of programs we have, so that's lovely. Any questions that are in Turkish? I'm hoping that my colleagues who are hosting the webinar will help me understand, and I'll get back to you later with an answer. Again, there was a question about are we able to work? And the answer is yes, on campus. There's no problem with being able to work up to 20 hours a week during the semester and 40 hours a week when there are no classes, like during breaks. Off-campus work is restricted, and you need to have permission from the International Center in order to work off campus. All right. Let me jump back to the question box. Pardon me for leaning in, because this is where I see the questions. For PhD, do both research assistantships and teaching assistantships consider? Yes, research and teaching assistantships would have the same stipends and the same tuition benefits. So it's not better or worse to get research or teaching assistantship. I think the advantage of a research assistantship is the likelihood that you would end up with publications with your own authorship coming out of the research that you do with the faculty. But of course, teaching assistants also do research. Some of our teaching assistants are really doing sort of 50-50 research and teaching, supporting the education of our undergraduate students. If you pardon me, I'm just going to take a sip of my tea. It's still early, and suddenly my throat got dry. All right. Well, I probably spoke too fast because I think we're not quite to the end of our time, but it looks like we're to the end of our questions.
Yes, thank you for your answers, Colleen. While we wait for other questions to pop up, could you please share an email address in the chat box so the participants can directly contact?
And you have reminded me of something else as well. So I did put my email address in the presentation, but I will put it here as well. Oh, hang on. Got it. Why is this not typing? So there is no, that's my email address. There is no application fee for the undergraduate applicants, but for the postgraduate applicants, there's an application fee, and I'm going to waive it for anyone on this call today. And I'm just entering the code, and it's got to appear exactly as I've typed it. So I'm making sure 100% that it is correct. So please note down that application fee waiver code. You need to do the capitalization exactly as I've presented it. So it's CU for Clarkson University, and then grad admissions. When you fill out the application form, there's a spot on the program of study page where you indicate which degree you want to do. And it says, if you have an application fee waiver code, please enter it here. So that's what you enter, and that will save you about $50. So I'm happy to give you that small token of my appreciation for your attention during this webinar today, in the hopes that if you decide that Clarkson offers the type of degree and education that you're interested in, that you'll apply. And then if you're admitted, it's my job to try and persuade you to come. So make me work hard. I'll be happy to try to persuade you to come. In case it's slipped by people quickly, I'm going to put my email address again, in case people didn't have a chance to note it down while they were busy writing down the application fee waiver.
Yes, thank you very much for your great presentation, Colleen. We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Someone asked for more information about the data science program, and I'm just going to say, please go to the Clarkson website, which is just www.clarkson.edu, and there's a list of all of the undergraduate programs. You click on academics, and then it says undergraduate or graduate, and you can click on which one you want and find out all of the information about the different programs, and fill out the inquiry form right there so that you can start getting the information you need. And I think we're just about at time, and I think I've answered all the questions. So I'm ready to wish you a great evening and hope to hear from you again by email and to see your applications coming in very, very soon.
Yes, thank you very much again, Colleen. We had a lot of questions and you covered them all. Thank you for your answers. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Clarkson University ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Colleen'in paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda sizi altıdaki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you again, Colleen. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
My pleasure too. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.